Hello, welcome to Old School Movies podcast, where I, Nora, your host, will share my reviews on some old but gold box office hits in the late 1990s and early 2000s. Rest assured that I will try not to spoil much of their golden details so that you can sit back and enjoy them later. For today's episode, let's dive into my top movie that exceptionally portrays different aspects of Beyond the Nile. At the age of 5, I was a very carefree child, enjoying life in every of its pieces. My routine was the same week by week, but it was never boring. After a very playful day at school, I continued indulging myself at home with different classic cartoons like Tom and Jerry or Nubagati, known as Well Just You Wait in English, a Russian cartoon sitcoms that were very popular among the early 2000s babies in Vietnam. My early life passed by like that, with no significant marks, until one day, my neighbor friend invited me to her house and had a first try at her new TV set. It consisted of a giant display complimentary with a CD reader and no antennas. As we couldn't wait to explore this innovative machine, we decided to have a look at the movies offered by a CD store in the neighborhood. At first, there were not many interesting titles for us. Or maybe we finished watching most of them before. But I was totally captured by one called The Prince of Egypt. My impression was like what Egypt meant. A country, a city, or a town. And we both agreed on bringing this CD back. For around 90 minutes, we were both into the plot and couldn't even leave our seats for a water break. What stunned me was the scene and the setting I had never witnessed in my life. An ancient kingdom with gigantic statues, a land that was full of sand, and a royal family dressed in a quite minimalist but still elegant fashion. As a kid, my impression of the movie stopped right there. But 20 years later, my views of the movie have broadened. After a long coffee chat with my old neighbor friend, we brought back the memory of the day we spent all evening watching The Prince of Egypt. This reminiscence naturally sparked a curiosity in me. I wondered if I rewatched the movie, would there be any changes, or anything new that I couldn't explore when I was too young? I was right. The Prince of Egypt 1998 was not just simply a cartoon film about an ancient empire. It was a spectacular illustration of slavery life, the differences in religious beliefs and practices. At the same time, the sorrows of valiant characters and the brotherhood shared by non-family related men were highlighted, which were very ahead of its time in 1998. The Prince of Egypt 1998, produced by DreamWorks Animation, is an animated musical drama that reimagines the biblical story of Moses, raised as a prince in Egypt alongside his adoptive brother, Ramesses. Moses discovers his true heritage as a Hebrew and witnesses the suffering of his enslaved people. This revelation sets him on a journey of self-discovery and spiritual awakening. Fleeing Egypt, Moses encounters God through the burning bush and is commanded to return to free the Israelites. Despite initial resistance from Ramesses, now Pharaoh, Moses calls forth divine plagues upon Egypt, culminating in the miraculous parting of the Red Sea. This allows the Israelites to escape while pursuing Egyptian army is engulfed by the returning waters. This stunning animation, a powerful soundtrack, the profound themes of freedom, faith, and family DreamWorks Animation delivers a timeless and emotionally resonant retelling of this classic story. A grand, prosperous, and powerful ancient Egypt slowly unveils throughout the movie. The film showcases the cultural richness of Egyptian elite, including grand celebrations, music, and artistic achievements. One memorable scene features a wall painting brought to life, illustrating Egypt's mythological stories and historical conquests. These elements underscore the Egyptians' pride in their heritage and accomplishments, offering a glimpse into their worldview and values. While showing admiration to the Egyptian creation, the film doesn't miss its infamous deed, widely known as slave exploitation. The Prince of Egypt 1998 vividly portrays the social divide between Egyptian elite and the Hebrew slaves. The grandeur of Pharaoh's palace, with its ornate architecture and opulence, starkly contrasts the squalid, overcrowded conditions of the slaves' living quarters. This contrast is amplified by visual cues. The Hebrews toil under the scorching sun, while the Egyptians revel in their power and privilege. Such depictions emphasize the stark inequality and the systemic oppression that fuels the narrative. Daily lives of both groups are parallelly set throughout the film. The Egyptians are shown engaging in luxurious banquets, architectural feats, and ceremonies, highlighting their prosperity and dominance. Meanwhile, the slaves are depicted in scenes of relentless labor, constructing massive monuments under the whip of overseers. These details lend authenticity and highlight the human cost of the pharaoh's empire. Significantly, the conflict between Moses and Ramesses symbolized the ideological clash between monotheism and polytheism. In many scenes, their shared upbringing as brothers is juxtaposed against their diverging beliefs. Moses' faith in the God of Hebrews versus Ramesses' adherence to the pantheon of Egyptian gods. This duality is visually captured during the plagues, where divine intervention disrupts the natural order revered by the Egyptians, and in moments like Moses confronting the opulent idols of Egypt, while championing his faith in one God. Through its detailed word-building, cultural depth, and exploration of faith and power dynamics, The Prince of Egypt 1998 not only tells a compelling story, but also offers a profound commentary on equality, belief system, and human resilience that to some extent still resonates with the modern world. When I first watched The Prince of Egypt as a young viewer, I didn't fully understand Ramesses' character. I assumed he was the archetypal villain, cruel and unredeemable. However, revisiting the movie years later, I've come to see Ramesses in a new light. He wasn't born a tyrant. The immense responsibility of succeeding his father as pharaoh shaped him into the ruler we see, driven by duty and tradition. From the beginning, Ramesses knew Moses wasn't his blood relative. Yet, not once did he express resentment or displeasure at Moses' presence in the royal family. In fact, Ramesses deeply loved Moses as his brother, evident in his heartbreak when Moses discovered his Hebrew origins and left the palace. Years later, when Moses returned to demand the release of the Hebrew slaves, Ramesses, now pharaoh, showed a glimmer of their body by lifting the sentence against Moses for fleeing Egypt, even amidst their conflict. Ramesses couldn't deny how much Moses meant to him. In a poignant nighttime conversation, Ramesses reflects on their shared youth, expressing disbelief at how much had changed. Despite their opposing paths, he still saw Moses as his brother. This relationship makes Ramesses a deeply compelling character, transcending the simplistic villain archetype common in 1990s film. Unlike the ruthless antagonist of many movies of that era, Ramesses is a layered and realistic figure. He's not just a pharaoh, but a man burdened by the weight of tradition, duty, and personal loss. His sorrow at losing his son, his anguish as Moses turning against him, his enduring affection for his adopted brother reveal a man torn between his responsibilities as a ruler and his humanity. In the film's climactic moments, when Ramesses' empire crumbles under God's might, he cries out Moses' name in pain. This cry is more than a reaction to defeat. It's a complex expression of disbelief, anger, and heartbreak. He's lost not only his kingdom, but also the brother he cherished. Moses, too, faces a similar conflict. His joy at reuniting with Ramesses and his fond memories of their youth are evident. But his divine mission to free his people takes precedence. Their final farewell encapsulates this struggle. When Moses says, "Goodbye, brother," as the sea closes behind him, his gaze seems to reach beyond the physical journey. It reflects the bittersweet reality of leaving behind someone who loved and supported him, despite their differences in origin and destiny. This creative depth in the depiction of Ramesses and Moses elevates the Prince of Egypt beyond its biblical roots. It conveys a powerful message. Family is not solely defined by blood, but by mutual love, respect, and support. For Ramesses and Moses, their bond was as real as any familial tie, and it remained even as their paths diverged. It would be very lacking stating the success of this movie without mentioning its splendid musical soundtrack, crafted by Steven Schwartz and Hans Zimmer. It is truly the soul of this masterpiece, lingering in the audience long after the end of the movie. It seamlessly blends storytelling with emotional depth, making every song an integral part of the narrative. All 5 songs are well interwoven in the plots and different conflict stages among characters. But for today, I want to delve further into the opening song and the ending song, which play as main narrations of the scene, not just a complement for the storylines. Right at the opening, the audience are exposed to deliver us a song of vibrating melody, blended with a harmonic transition between its 2 climaxes. This haunting piece transports all viewers from modern day back to ancient Egypt, vividly portraying the suffering of Hebrew slaves building monuments for the Egyptian highness while under the dictatorship of royal soldiers. The powerful choral harmonies paired with the Middle Eastern motifs set the stage for Moses' extraordinary journey from leaving his biological mom's arm, wandering through the Nile River, and landing in the Queen's loving arm. I can guarantee you that this piece of music is so emotionally resonating that it grips all our attention right away. And the film's anthem of faith with perseverance, when you believe, is not just a highlight, but a cultural touchstone that contributed immensely to its impressive closing scene, performed in the film during the Hebrews' exodus from Egypt. When you believe is a moment of triumph and reflection. The song doesn't merely celebrate victory, it captures the fragile, heartfelt hope that sustains people through trials. Its lyrics acknowledge the difficulty of maintaining faith in dark times, but emphasize that miracles happen when belief is strong. The song's composition is equally powerful. It starts with a gentle and contemplative tone, mirroring the uncertainty of the Hebrews as they set out on their journey. As it builds, the music swells with orchestral grandeur, transitioning into a choral crescendo that reflects the collective faith of an entire people. The inclusion of Hebrew lyrics taken from the biblical Song of the Sea adds authenticity and a deep spiritual resonance. When You Believe achieved monumental success as a pop duet by Whitney Houston and Mariah Carey. This version transformed it into a global hit, winning the Academy Award for Best Original Song in 1999. Its universal message of hope and resilience made it relatable to audiences far beyond the movie. Until now, these two songs are still occasionally performed as orchestral pieces or soundtrack of the film musical versions, proving its lasting impact not just on the cinematic plot it is supporting, but also on producers and audience. The movie ends, but for me, the journey doesn't stop there. My mind is alive with reflections on the tremendous scenes and their deeper meanings. The grandeur and richness of ancient Egypt are undeniable, yet they are juxtaposed with the happiness and pain that underpin its thriving civilization. Behind the glory lies a narrative of struggle, perseverance, and transformation. One of the film's remarkable achievements is how it navigates the prolonged and complex tensions between religions. Through its thoughtful storytelling, it presents these differences with sensitivity and grace, successfully avoiding offense while offering a unifying illustration of faith and humanity. And then, there's the theme of family, where the heart truly resides. The story of Moses and Ramesses shows how family bonds can endure trials, even when divided by duty and destiny. It beautifully illustrates that family bonds don't need to be rooted in biology. Moses and Ramesses, though not blood-related, share a deep connection shaped by their shared childhood. Their brotherhood is built on love, trust, and memories, showing that family is defined by the bonds of the heart rather than genetics. Even as their paths diverged, their relationship remains emotionally charged, proving that family is not about where you come from, but the connections you nurture along the way. Their conflict is made more poignant by the exploration of upbringing and its impact. The film subtly suggests that villains aren't born, but shaped often by incomplete or misguided childhoods. The Prince of Egypt isn't just a story of miracles. It's a profound meditation on identity, faith, and the complexities of human relationships. These thoughts linger long after the credits roll, reminding us of the enduring power of this cinematic masterpiece. So that's the end of my sharing today. I hope you enjoyed today's episode and found it interesting. For your convenient reference to the events I mentioned, please find the links to my blog page in the description, where I have compiled all related information. If you have any questions or you want to discuss more on what I shared today, please leave your comments below. I would love to talk to each of you more as well. You can search for more episodes of this Old School Movies podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and my own blog page. To cater to all of your preferences using different platforms, I am also gradually uploading all my podcast episodes on YouTube. Please also subscribe to my channels and stay tuned for the latest update. Thank you for listening to today's episode all the way to the end. And I hope to see you again in my next episode of Old School Movies, which will be released soon. Once again, this is Nora, your host. Thank you so much and goodbye.